Goldberg gives an injury update ahead of his match at Crown Jewel. Kurt Angle offers advice to newly signed WWE RAW star, and Vince McMahon praises Hall of Famer for record-breaking achievement. What's up, everyone? I'm host Hit G, and there's a lot to talk about in today's Sportskeeda Wrestling WWE News Roundup. Never miss brand new content by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Goldberg gives an injury update ahead of his match at Crown Jewel. Goldberg has provided an injury update after suffering a knee injury in his previous clash with Bobby Lashley at the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Bobby Lashley, who was WWE Champion going into SummerSlam pay-per-view, defeated Goldberg by referee stoppage after the WWE legend had suffered a serious knee injury. The beating continued even after the bell, which forced Goldberg's son Gage to interfere and come to the aid of his father. Speaking on the CarCast podcast, Goldberg stated that the knee injury hasn't fully healed yet, but he should still have enough to defeat Lashley, saying, quote, "Knee's much better. Hopefully I won't be completely healed by then, but it'll be suffice to say in good enough shape to kick Bobby's ass. Let's just say that," end quote. Goldberg sent a chilling message to Bobby Lashley last month on Raw, vowing to kill the former WWE Champion at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. After his SummerSlam clash with Lashley, Goldberg explained that he would have to undergo knee surgery following Lashley's vicious attack on him. Goldberg also said that Gage's neck and shoulders were injured as well after Lashley's attack on Gage. Apart from Goldberg's grudge match against Lashley, Big E will defend his WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre, while Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar will clash for the Universal Championship at Crown Jewel. Becky Lynch will defend her SmackDown Women's title against Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks at the show as well. Stephanie McMahon reveals why she thanked 3 WWE Superstars backstage at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 35 was a pivotal moment in WWE history that Stephanie McMahon will never forget. Stephanie and Becky Lynch recently appeared at the Sports Business Journal World Congress of Sport to discuss the women's evolution in WWE. When talking about the first women's main event at WrestleMania 35, Stephanie revealed she pulled all 3 women aside before the match and thanked them for making history, saying, quote, "I actually pulled Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey, who were the triple threat at MetLife Stadium in 2019. Before the show, I pulled them aside and I just thanked them because when I was a little girl growing up, I could have never imagined seeing women such an integral part of the show and indeed the main event," end quote. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H's 3 daughters sat in front at WrestleMania 35 and witnessed Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair make history. It's something that McMahon never thought would be possible growing up in the business. Kurt Angle offers advice to newly signed WWE RAW star. WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle has shared what he would advise newly signed RAW star Gable Steveson regarding his pro wrestling career. Like Angle, Steveson has also an amateur background, and he won a gold medal in the Olympics. The latter was drafted to Monday Night Raw several weeks ago as part of the 2021 WWE Draft. During his recent interaction on the Jobbing Out podcast, Kurt Angle offered some valuable advice to Gable Steveson. He said the Olympic gold medalist should throw the amateur wrestling textbook out the window because it will do more harm than good. In amateur wrestling, Angle said that you have to go for the pins as soon as possible, but it's the opposite in professional wrestling. The latter is also about showing a lot of emotion. As Kurt Angle said, quote, "In amateur wrestling, you don't show emotion. In pro wrestling, you have to show a lot of emotion. You have to show when you're angry, you're scared, pissed off, happy, excited. It crosses over to the fans. So I had to forget everything I ever learned, especially my moves, because I was very aggressive in amateur wrestling and I had to pull back a little bit and say, okay, let me give my body to the guys that are in there in the ring with me," end quote. During the above podcast interview, he also revealed that he enjoyed portraying a general manager and he considered doing it again if WWE offered him the opportunity. The wrestling veteran lost his last match at WrestleMania 35 to Baron Corbin. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2017. Meanwhile, Gable Stevenson's in-ring debut could be extended into 2022, with rumors being that WWE might make it happen at WrestleMania 38. Former WWE Superstars Ever-Rise comment on the NXT process. Matt Lee and Jeff Parker had quite the year. After being released by WWE NXT, the duo signed with All Elite Wrestling just a few weeks later. 2.0, formerly known as Ever-Rise, were the latest guests on the AEW Unrestricted with Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards. They discussed their pro wrestling careers and signing with AEW after being released from NXT. When asked about their time in NXT, 2.0 said that once you're dumped into the system, there's no plan in terms of advancing your WWE career. Saying, quote, "Once you get there, you realize you're just dumped into a system. There's no plan. You've got to figure out how to show the powers that be, the people in charge, what you bring to the table. It's a challenge. It's a real challenge. Because unless you're a chosen one that's being hired with the intention of being a this or that, you're just in the deep water and you got to figure out how to the surface somehow." End quote. Jeff Parker revealed that they started their own YouTube show while they were in NXT because they were looking for a unique way to get over despite hardly being used on television. Vince McMahon praises Hall of Famer for record-breaking achievement. Vince McMahon heaped major praise on Canadian actor and WWE Hall of Famer William Shatner for becoming the oldest person to go to space. Shatner has done it all in the world of entertainment over the past 7 decades. He's mostly known for portraying the character of Captain James T. Kirk on Star Trek. The 90-year-old legendary actor recently became the oldest person to make a trip to space. He also became the first WWE Hall of Famer to do so. Vince McMahon took to Twitter soon after and showered praise on Shatner for his extraordinary feat. He wrote that he's proud of him and acknowledged his record-breaking achievement. Longtime fans of WWE may be aware that William Shatner made a memorable appearance for Vince McMahon's promotion in the mid-90s. He showed up on an episode of Raw and was a guest on Jerry Lawler's King Court segment. The segment saw Shatner taking Lawler down to a loud pop. He spoke up about the appearance on an episode of WWE's The Bump last year. McMahon was aware of the mainstream reach that Shatner carried with him and made the right call by putting him on his show back then. He was eventually inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2020 in the Celebrity Wing. Thanks for watching today's Sportskeeda Wrestling WWE News Roundup. For exclusive content you never want to miss, you gotta subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification bell so you never ever miss when we drop brand new content. Follow us on all social media and download the Sportskeeda app for the most up-to-date stories in the world of wrestling.